Thanks for tuning in to the Diaphragm Dynasty. I'm back with another Behind the Pen edition of my podcast. And today, Behind the Pen, I'll be talking about Frank Ocean. Now, Frank Ocean is still younger in his career. He is not that active as most, especially for the talent that he has and for the with the efficiency that he puts out music. And he actually, writes music, so I think it's kind of early for this topic, but I wanted to talk about it nevertheless. Maybe if I have to come back to it later, I will. But for the most part, he hasn't been a lot active with his pen, but his pen is very prolific or is very dangerous, to say to speak. Um, and not only is he a great writer for himself, but great writer for others as well. So the songs that he's written on Channel Orange, the songs that he's written on Blonde, and Nostalgia Ultra, um, any other project that he's released, that Lonnie Bro collection that has been going around, that he put out with like 80 different songs, some songs that he wrote for other people, but songs he wrote for himself as well. I'm talking about the whole entirety of his ability to write. That's what these Behind the Pens are about, to highlight and to bring to light the songs that people have written for other people, not just themselves, but mostly for other people, the credit that they deserve, other than just looking in the booklets, which the booklets don't exist anymore. You have to look through Apple Music and Tidal or wherever you get your music from to see those details. But as I talked about earlier, he's not doesn't have the most active pen, but he does have one of the most efficient pens. So being from that Future camp with Tyler the Creator, he was the only singer in the group. The unique dynamic of having a bunch of singer or rappers around you, being the only singer, similar to when I talked about before, Pretty Ricky, i.e. TLC. Not to that degree, but you get what I'm trying to say on that part. But he first into the game writing for Noel Gordon, a song called I Fail. Very good song. Didn't get a lot of acclaim. It was a smaller artist. So he wrote for Brandy twice on First in Love, and he wrote for John Legend on Quickly. Now, Quickly is a great song as well. I believe it's on Evolver, the song that has Green Light with Andre 3000. But the Brandy's First in Love song is pretty good as well. Unique production. I'm not sure who did the production on it, but um, after all of this success, of course, he wrote Nostalgia Ultra, which is probably his, it was written type moment, I would say. But one of the most creative projects that he's had. But he's wrote for some bigger names as well. Now, a lot of these songs, you can hear his writing in them. So without looking at the credits, you can kind of tell, like, man, who wrote this song? You would think it was Frank Ocean just because of the cadence. He has a certain cadence and things when he writes, and that people has to sing them in. And the production is different too than most. So the Justin Bieber's Bigger song is probably the biggest one. Um, this was around the prime years of younger Justin Bieber. He wrote for around the time he had the Baby song with Ludacris. So he was able to write for Justin Bieber back then, and to write for a younger artist shows his versatility as a writer as well. Beyonce's "I Miss You," which is probably his favorite song that he's written for somebody else that I've liked. That "I Miss You" song, I believe, is on the Four album. This is an album that had writing from, of course, The Dream on it and other bigger artists, but that song kind of caught me off guard as far as the Frank Ocean song. And when I heard him cover it, I was like, why is he singing this song? And I looked back, and he actually wrote the song. So it was very unique for him to write that song, especially writing for Beyonce. But he had a lot of collabs and stuff with Jay-Z as well. So it made sense. He was kind of in that camp. But I really would have liked that Frank Ocean would have kept writing for Beyonce in addition to The Dream, because I definitely got to cover The Dream as a writer. He's one of my favorite writers as well, alongside Neo and Babyface, of course. But that "I Miss You" song was very important for that album. And I think it's one of Beyonce's greater songs that a lot of people don't talk about because it didn't go commercial. It wasn't a radio hit or a song that she really made a video to or anything. So, but it's one of her most sleeper songs. Frank Ocean also wrote for Alicia Keys a song called "One Thing," which is Great for his resume to write for another great writer in Alicia Keys. That first album, Songs in A Minor from Alicia Keys, was one of the greatest debut albums from an R&B artist, and it definitely, that Fallen song changed the landscape of R&B, especially for me, uh, for what it did for me as a listener for R&B. Just the passion that she had in that song, and that falsetto, and it was everything about that song, and the freshness of it, the video, the way it was shot, the way it looks so raw and real. You don't get that from a lot of R&B artists or artists, period, especially nowadays. But this was in early 2000s. So, but his writing style is not like most songwriters, like I've talked about before. He talks about everything, not just about love. He talks about things going on the earth, and he's pretty much similar to Marvin Gaye with when it comes to writing and things like that. It's just talking about everything, just talking about things you go through and your experiences. He gives that. He's actually able to talk about, like songwriters, great songwriters do, talk about perspectives from that artist and what they've been through, and being able to convey their story through their eyes as well. It's a great skill to have. Um, Songwriting, he's like an author of a great book or a comic book writer, very animated, very illustrative, very descriptive, very detailed and relatable storytelling as well. So all of those are great things that Frank is able to do. Now, like I said before, I wish he was able to be more active with his pen and show us more of his skill set. I believe, eventually he will. Fortunately, music is not like sports where you can time yourself out. You can always write, you can always sing, and still be able to have an audience. And there's no time limit or time cap on what you're able to do artistically, unlike sports. But some of the songwriting that he's done, especially on Channel Orange and Nostalgia Ultra, put him up there with, cement him in the top songwriters, whether, of all time, whether you want to put him in the top 20 or top 50, he's definitely got to be in those tops, just because he's writing about different things and giving you a different perspective on the R&B side as far as songwriting goes, and artistically. So, uh, yeah. So, if you haven't heard some of the songs I talked about that Frank Ocean has written, definitely check those out. And as always, until next time, I'll see you next time.